Ernest Jackson is a highly experienced stunt performer, coordinator, and second unit director with over 35 years of experience in the film industry. At a young age, he discovered he had a natural talent for martial arts. He went on to become BC lightweight champion, Canadian middleweight champion, and ranked number 2 by the World Karate Association. He used his martial arts as an entry into the film industry, where he has made a name for himself. Please welcome Ernest Action Jackson.
Hi, I'm Ernest Jackson, and this is Stunt Archives.
So, Mr. Ernest Action Jackson, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Surrey, BC. I was born in England, Jamaican parents, and my younger sister and I were born there. And we moved to Vancouver in, 69? I was like 8 years old.
When did you start training martial arts?
When I was 15. 15, yeah. I mean, everything was about sports for me. And so actually it was football that I was kind of, really excelling in at the time. And Kirk Jakes, my Sifu, moved next door to me when I was 15, and he was about to test for his black sash, so he was training hard. My sister met his sister, brought me over, we met, and he did this whole thing with nunchucks, and it just blew my mind. I didn't know anything about martial arts, and he just like, what the hell is this guy doing? But what he did do is he trained really hard, and so we started training together, and it actually helped my football game.
What are some things that martial art taught you?
The fight game is a funny thing because it parallels life in a lot of ways, Yeah. Learn to respect. Always respect everybody, because you never know who's who in the zoo, You get into the gym and there's a little scrawny guy over there in the corner, and you think to yourself, oh, that guy's nothing. And you start to mix it up, and you realize, holy smokes, this guy can kick your ass, and, and does. Yeah. And, it keeps you humble. It teaches you you get out of life what you put in. So as hard as you train is what comes out in the backside of it. So you know what I mean? Like if you're just there fluffing around and not putting anything in, you'll get something out of it, but you won't get the max out of it. You gotta, in anything in life, when you want to achieve something, you gotta dig hard, and that's one of the things you have to do in the fight game, martial arts.
What convinced you to start competing?
Well, football was over. I was like 21 at the time, and small. I mean, because I wasn't going to be a football player. Yeah. And I was thinking, what? And one of the things too is that my team was good, but not what I was hoping it would be. And so I thought to myself, once the season's over, I'm going to pick something up that I can do by myself, and if I fail, it's because of me. If I, succeed, it's because of me. And then that's when I thought, I'd gone to a kickboxing fight at the Surrey Rec Center, and saw some of the local guys fighting, and that's where I met Kurt Bond, and that's where I said, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go at this and see what I can achieve, and it worked out pretty good actually.
What inspired you to become a stuntman, and how did you get started in the industry?
It started with, I had no idea about it really. I mean, what was going on at the time, Tony Morelli was the world champion. He was a local hero. I mean, I grew up in Surrey, he grew up in Langley, and we kind of had sort of the same circles. Yeah. But he, was known in the industry, in our group of the fight game, about, he'd been doing movies, he'd been doing commercials. He was in this big popular commercial about milk. I'm doing it. He dropped down in his splits, and I'm drinking milk and all stuff. And I still remember that, my mom said to me one day, why don't you try and do what Tony does? Do this acting thing. I thought to myself, I said, Mom, man, it's so far-fetched. I don't even know. First off, I don't even know how to get into that, but no, that's so far-fetched. That's not for me. And it was the craziest thing. About 3 weeks later, Tony showed up at our gym, And he said, can I train with you guys for a little bit? So he came in, he hung out for a couple of days. And then after a couple of days, he said, I thought you were a lot smaller than you are. And you actually fit the size of this guy that we could use you in this show we're doing called Wise Guy. And we're looking for a couple boxers. And I've got my buddy, Brad Lurie. Ended up, Brad and I did this boxing scene. And we basically just sparred because Brad was training with Tony and one of Tony's top sparring partners. So Tony, he knew he took some pounding and he could fight. Brad could fight. He's a big guy too. So we just sparred. We just went at it, right? And I got paid, and that changed everything. I looked at that check and went, what the hell? Holy smokes, what do I do to do this? And so, yeah, I just kind of just attacked it and, met some of the guys and just, at that time I was about 27, didn't know what I was going to be doing, wasn't making much money at kickboxing and, I was trying to, doing all these different jobs and stuff. And I was like, what am I going to do? And so poof, this just sort of popped into my world and I just attacked it. I stuck around for a couple of years. I fought for another couple of years after that. But at that level, if you're not putting everything into it, you're gonna get punished. You're gonna get beat. So it was like it didn't take long for me to go, you know what, I'm out of this, and jumped into this. And thanks to Antonio Giovanni Morelli. Yeah, it was good. And at that time, I had the full Fu Manchu and I had the Jerry curls, Just let yourself. Just do it, sleeping with the bag on. And after we did that sequence, it was a couple of days we were there, and the American coordinator, Steve Boyum, said to me, he said, you're doing pretty good here. You take instruction well, blah, blah. If you change your look, maybe shave or something, we may have another part for you. Oh my God, the hair was gone, the beard was gone, came back, hey! So the next one was being, we were hitmen basically, and we were going to do a hit on Ray Sharkey, who was the wise guy, the bad guy in the thing. And so this is where I met my first real black stuntman, Manny Perry, and he came up from America. He was a good friend of Steve Boyum, and he was driving the car. We were driving a car. We ended up cutting him off, getting out, and getting into this fight. And Sharky ends up beating me up with a bat and all this stuff. And it was cool to be part of that because that was the first time I'd ever seen cars sliding or anything. And we're going through downtown and doing the whole car chase thing. And how are you making the car do this? And man, he was talking me through it, the e-brake and all that stuff. Holy smokes. So then, you got to go and change. So, a few of us got together, some of the younger guys, there was a group of us, Eve Cameron and, Charles Andre and Fred Perrin, Jimmy Dunn, Jay Cox, Mike Langlois. There's a core of us that were training, and renting. What we would do is rent cars and from Hertz and all that stuff, and beat them up and bring them back all busted up and all that shit, hitting curbs and everything. It was hilarious. It's yeah. So that was like a big thing for me is to change my look and get into that and get my first taste of driving and. Expanding on my horizons. It was a good time, I have to say, knowing Jacob and because Tony and Jacob were really tight at that time and they were both kind of helping me out a lot and guys we looked up at. Ken Kersinger was another guy that we looked up at. Brent Woolsey, these guys are, we could just do these guys. Look at these guys. Yeah, I watched them do their thing. It's good. It's cool.
How do you prepare for a stunt? What kind of physical and mental training do you do?
The fight game is a deal, is because, in the fight game, you have to learn to do your craft under pressure. And, there's a lot of adversity going on. And that's a big parallel to this business is there's, you can be good at whatever it is, but it's dealing with the pressure that comes with it. That pressure, and then having to adapt, like we all know, you're doing your rehearsals and you may rehearse for, 3 days on what you're going to do. And then you get to the day, and then the day you're about to do it. And then, no, we're not doing that. We're doing a completely different thing. And you can't panic. You got to keep your shit together and be able to adapt, And I think the fight game was a good thing. So, I mean, what I do to prepare? I mean, visualization's a good thing. That was something that we would, Kurt brought into our training. We would, I remember coming into the gym and he says, okay, we're not training tonight. We're going to do a visualization. So we're going to sit down and you're going to visualize from the day you leave when you wake up in the morning of the fight, what are you doing? And I'd visualize the whole thing all the way through to the sitting in the change room, wrapping your hands, and then going out to feeling it. So this whole visualization was something I learned, and it was a good tool. Visualization, seeing success of whatever you're gonna do.
What are some misconceptions people have about stunt performers?
Oh, that we're as tough as nails and we can just take anything. It's hilarious. You go into production meetings and all that stuff, and you're talking, and well, we got to do this, and the guy's got to get hit by a car. Well, it's only a stunt guy. Just hit him with a car. Well, dude, man. I mean, yeah, we are human beings. Yeah. I mean, misconceptions. That's part of it. Is that it's haphazard, and we're just as tough as anything. Well, and we are very tough, resilient people, and part of what makes a lot of us successful is that you're able to bounce off the ground and get up and, hold in what is actually bugging you. Like there's, and stunt guys are pretty brilliant. There's a lot of sense there. There's a lot of sensibility, and a lot of us are very tedious in what we do. Like there's a lot of guys that know a lot about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some innate things that I think successful stunt people have in common. There's a thing about timing. It's a weird deal. Because not everybody has it. People can develop it and will work on it, but a real natural athlete, there's just timing about things, to be where you need to be when you need to be, timing. It's just it's an unspoken deal, which is easy to see, especially when you're behind the camera as a coordinator. You can see that where people lack in timing or have really good timing.
What is your favorite type of stunt to perform and why?
Fights are always great. You got to be. I mean, when I started, you had to be well-rounded. You couldn't. It was hard to be. Well, you couldn't really survive just being a one-trick pony. You kind of have to be a whole thing. And so, within all of that, I think the most fun thing is driving. It's driving, it's crashing and bashing cars and doing all that stuff. It's fun because one of the things you grow up doing, and as you go through life, is you're not supposed to crash cars. You drive. Everything you do is not to do that. But when you get out here, okay, so this is what we're doing. You're going to be bashing into that guy, and you're going to be crashing over there at high speeds, and then all that stuff is, and a lot of that in driving. There's a lot of the timing that comes in play, especially when there's a bunch of people weaving in and out of things, and timing becomes a big thing. Yeah, it's neat to wreck stuff. It's neat to wreck shit. Yeah.
What's been some of your favorite crashes to be involved in?
Well, one of the things I did, I dropped a bike on Final Destination, which was really good. Scott Nicholson, and it was dropping a motorcycle at about 50 miles an hour. And I about a few months earlier, I'd gone down on my bike. A friend of mine clipped me from behind, and I went down and at high speed and almost got run over. All the stuff. It was a whole big deal. But anyways, I said to him, "I'm not doing this. I don't think I can do this." And he said, he he talked me into it. He said, what do you mean you can't do it? Da, 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 da. And so I was fine. Okay, I'll do it. And it was one of the one of the cooler things I've done, at that speed and everything, and coming in and having to execute it a couple times, and they wanted the bike to do a certain thing, and it just so happened that when I went down and we did the thing, it worked out perfect. We had a whole different setup for it where we were going to rig the bike to go around and do all these things, but at the speed and how I went down it manipulated itself anyways and got us right where we needed to be. And ended up going around, and the sequence was spinning, going down, the bike flipping around, me going into a stump backwards, and then the bike running into me and taking me out. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a fun sequence. On X-Files, one of the first things I did was with Tony and Antonio Giovanni Morelli, and we were doing a car sequence, and he said to me before we go, well, you're gonna see what it feels like to be really hit here in a vehicle. Oh yeah, okay. So an action, and all of a sudden the whole thing started with him rear-ending me, and he hit me so hard. I was like, holy, this is real, man. And I buckled down in behind the seat and just pushed myself in there, and it was on, and we bashed and crashed and pushed each other. He ended up pushing me off into the ditch and everything. And that was a really cool experience to kind of feel that for the first time. And that sort of sets the tone. Okay, well, this is what it is, and then now, okay, from this point forward, you can be a lot more aggressive, and and just be aggressive and just be part of it, make things happen, And then watching some of the older guys, the guys above me, the Brents and the Woolseys, the Brent Woolseys and the Can Kersingers and Jacob Rupp, being around those guys doing their stuff, really set the stage to kind of know that you can. It's better to push it and be on the edge and make things look good than kind of just making your way through that. Just push it a little bit, push that envelope. Right? Yeah.
What is the most challenging stunt you have performed, and how did you overcome the obstacles or fears associated with it?
Well, I think one of the crazier things I've done was on reindeer games, where we did a burnout doubling Clarence Williams III, and Affleck shoots him with a lighter fluid, lights him on fire, and he's dressed up like Santa Claus. It's a pretty good movie, actually. And he catches on fire, ends up going out of a window, 2-story window, and landed on the hood of a car. But the tricky thing about it was I was fully masked, couldn't see, so and the vehicle wasn't. We didn't have the vehicle in time. They were still doing things to softening it up, taking the motor out, and making the hood soft and everything. So on the day, earlier in the day, we went out. We had the ledge up there on a 2x12 plank, and I walked out, went up there on the ledge, second floor, slid over, and looked where I was going to land. Imagine where I would put the car if I was going to go from here. And said to the guys, well, place the car right where there, blah, 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 blah. And then we did that. On the day, I came out fully blind with air, right? And Jay Cox, so we have marked where I was going to be. So Jay Cox walks me out there. I climb the ladder. I shimmy out to the spot, totally blind. And, okay, so I just got to trust everything. I just totally trust everything. And this, where the visualization came into effect here, thinking about this and just visualizing this whole thing through, and got lit up, went up, stepped off, and landed. Okay, then hit my head off the top beat of the thing. Great. John Frankenheimer, the director, famous director at the time. That was great, Ernest. That was great. So. You weren't right in the center of the car. Can you do that again? Okay, yeah. All right, Mr. Frankenheimer, yeah, we did that. So, so that means taking everything off. That was like a 2-hour setup, right? Yeah. To do it again. And we did it again, and I nailed it the second time. Actually, I was nominated for a Taurus Award for that. Nominated. It was the the inaugural Taurus Awards that year. Yeah, it was cool. It was a good one, good experience. Yeah, that's probably the wildest. I mean, there's been some other ones. I mean, X-Men 2, when we rappelled out of the helicopter and had to rappel down 60 feet on a knotted a rope and out of a leg bag, and we all come out of the chopper, like 6 of us, rappel 60 feet and then fly away. They would drop us off and then throw our bags down, and we stuff our bags and jump back in there and back again and action. It was crazy because it's at night. You can't. It's loud. Stuff's going on, and action. He comes in, and we had the chopper pilot would come in and flare it, and on the flare we would let go and come out of that and drop 60 feet. It was quite a deal, man.
Also, the 300-foot descender.
Oh yes, Romeo Must Die. Yeah. No, that was a good one. You know, that's heights is a weird thing. Heights is a weird thing because everybody, people say, well, I'm not scared of heights. Well, I don't know anybody. I mean, you can't tell me that you're gonna stand at 300 feet looking down and you don't get some sort of something. Like you gotta, right? So again, that's one of those things you gotta battle through it, and you gotta push it down and hold it down and keep everything down, keep that adrenaline down. And that's I'm going to go back to the fight game because that's one of the things. I mean, everybody gets that adrenaline, but a key to that is to use the adrenaline and let it out when you need it. Just don't let it overtake you, but just let it trickle out and then and make it work for you, and keeps your senses keen and all that sort of stuff. It keeps you sharp, right? Yeah. And that was a good one. That was good. I mean, it was a 3-part thing too. Melissa and I, we did a 60-foot high fall at the window together, and then we did a 300-foot descender, and then a 45-foot fall into water. So they cut it all together. It was pretty cool though. Yeah, that was a good one.
Do you actually mind quickly just telling us what a descender is?
Well, a descender stops you from hitting the ground. But okay. No, so it's a hydraulic system which is controlled by a motorcycle brake that the special effects boys have put this thing together, and it's been developed throughout the years. But it's a spindle. You can get up to whatever. Like this was a 300-foot fall, so there was at least 300 feet of cable on the spindle, and it spindles up and down and up and down. And then what the guys do is the effects guys, they'll code the cable. So the cable goes through the system, through a block and down, and it'll go to wherever you're going to drop to. And what it does is it slows you down before you hit the ground. So you're falling at about I'll describe what happened for us. So we're up there, I'm tagged, we go out, they hang us out there and until we're plumb, and then they count us in, 3, 2, 1, they let us go. And when they let you go, you free fall for a little bit till you catch up. And then you sort of feel it gradually fall at about 80%, and then they color code, they squeeze you down and stop you before you hit the ground. I mean,
that's a big trust exercise, eh?
They're all this game is trust,
Yeah.
It is trust, it is trust. I can't tell you though, like when they the first time I was out there and they put me out there and they're making adjustments back at the accelerator itself. You can hear the cable, like every time they're touching it, it's making it sounds like the cable is unraveling. And I said, what's going on over there? What's going on over there? Hanging upside down, 300 feet. The little bag down there looks like a little thing. Whoa, what's going on? What's going on? We're okay. And it's funny because Mitch was up there, and what happens when you dangle, you start to spin. So you want to grab something that's going to keep you from spinning. And I've got a little rope holding myself square so I'm not spinning, and we're rolling. Okay, here we go. And Mitch, you gotta let go of the rope. And I'm holding on to this thing like, what's it gonna do? It ain't gonna do anything. No. You're just holding on to the last bastion of safety. Okay. Oh, I'm out there, right? Shoo! Get you down there, and you do the first one, and holy smokes. Okay. Got that one past me. Here we go. Now, yeah. But it was cool. It worked out. It was a really cool sequence, actually.
How do you work with actors to ensure their safety during a stunt?
Well, one of the things you have to do is you got to be calm yourself. I mean, if you're leading the troops, a leader has to be kind of calm. So everything's got to be calm, and, rehearsal time, anytime, the more time you can get with them, talking them through the sequence, whatever it is you're doing, knowing what you want them to do. Don't try to force them to do something that they're not getting right away. Like what I'll do is if we're working on some sort of fight sequence and we've got 5 moves to do, and the one move they have to step with their right foot and throw a right hand or something. But every time they get to that spot, they want to put their left foot forward and throw a left hook for whatever it is. But they naturally want to do something. So instead of trying to break them of that, you twist and you go, okay, this is what we're doing. You're going to keep that going because you want to keep going there. So we just keep with that, Okay. So try not to force too much of what is not natural to them, because what'll happen is under the pressure, they'll go what they're going to do naturally anyways. Yeah. So just kind of, feel them out, get to know them a little bit and get to know their abilities and let them show you what they can do and then adapt what you need from them, from what they're showing you,
What is the most important lesson you've learned from your experience in this industry?
So I've been in situations where, I've been in the last bit of my interview of a job and they say, well, you've got the job as a stunt coordinator, but under these conditions that you don't hire this particular person for this reason alone. When I was the PA, the person totally disrespected me, and now here I am in the position to hire. And I always told myself when I was at that position that if I ever got to this place, that would be somebody I wouldn't hire. Wow. So, and that's happened. That I've lived that, and so really, really did learn that you should respect everybody because you never know who's who in the zoo, and that's the best way to go, anyways. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so so that's one of the things I tell my kids all the time and younger people is just be respectful and don't think you're above anybody and the minute that you think that this production can't do anything without you, that's the minute you're on the spindle down the road because no one is irreplaceable.
Can you talk about any particular stunts or roles that you've performed that have been particularly meaningful or impactful for you?
One of the more meaningful ones for me was my work with Jacob and the boys on Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings is in my career probably my top 3 movies. It was a real thing. It was a Jamaican bobsled team. We learned to bobsled. We got to go to Jamaica. It was the first time I went to Jamaica, meet my relatives over there. It was quite an enlightening thing. And still to this day, that's if I say I was in Cool Runnings, you were in Cool Runnings, like it's one of those heartfelt movies. It's John Candy and all that,
Feel the rhythm. Feel the rhyme. Come on, bobsled. It's bobsled time.
Yeah, that was good. That was so classic. Some of the friendships that we had and all that made up and everything. It was really, really, really cool.
Can you please tell us about your work on Mantis?
Yeah, that was that actually was a good spot in my career there because that was like doubling the black superhero and all that sort of stuff and I'm really, really proud of this because it was like one of the first times that we really did actually wire work in Vancouver. Like it was wire work heavy. Doing old time stunts with like the air ramps and stuff. That was a big thing. There was a couple sequences where in the pilot of the series, we did a thing where Jay Cox drove a car at me, and as he drove a car at me, I air rammed over it. And he, landed it. I landed it and looked like the Mantis and took off. And he crashed into a wall and all this sort of stuff. And it was signature sort of time in my career, where doing that, that cutting edge type stuff, Yeah, it was good. It was good. And we learned a lot. I mean, Claude Bouchard was one of the godfathers of the cable work. Him and JJ kind of masterminded all the stuff and came up with a bunch of rigs and you know, would throw me here, throw me there. Another guy that they would work on and test on was Dave Hospice was another guy that they used to use as a test dummy, and yeah, that was good times. It was really good, you know. And like I say, from that point, that's where a lot of that stuff, the cable work was kind of sprung from, you know, like I say, JJ and Codio taught a lot of people and brought a lot of people in and spawned all that. It was good. It was good times.
Can you tell us about the time you got knocked out on 21 Jump Street?
21 Jump Street. Yeah, I can tell you about that. Yeah. No, we were motocrossing. This is motocross sequence, and it's funny. So this is up in Squamish. There's a motorcycle track up there, and Jay Cox and Charles and I were in the sequence, and I don't know who else was there. I had a concussion, so I can't remember. So we doing this. It was a track that we used to train at all the time. And so we went up there and we were training this track. We knew we had the sequence coming up, and I was doubling one of the Steve Williams, the lead cop in 21 Jump Street. And we're doing the sequence. We're running the track and running the track and running the track a certain way. So we're all queued up, right? Day comes, we show up at the location, and Gary Combs, the coordinator, says, okay, so we're going to be running the track this way. So it's a total opposite direction of what we were doing it. So the whole track is totally different. The jumps are different. They're like that, not even jumps, you're like hitting walls. It was like just a nightmare start, right? A nightmare start. So the days going on, and ended up, we had this one sequence where we ripped past camera and had some whoops. I went over the whoops, and I went off the bike, and it clipped me as I went down. And I didn't notice it. I guess I was out, but I didn't really know I was out. And then kind of woke up and you know, get up and get my bike, and we're sitting to go again. And you good? Yeah, we're good. I'm good. And Charles is beside me. We're gonna shoot off. They want us to do this thing. So we get down there and get ready. And action! Charles takes off, and I sit there. Gary comes, what's going on? Charles rips back, says, what's going on? I says, I don't know what's going on. He says, okay, just do what I do, right? Just do what I do. So, okay. And we're rolling. Okay, follow me in action. And I follow him, I do the thing and kind of thing. And then later on in the day, I went to David, to Jay Cox, and said, man, what's with this cheap company? When are we going to have lunch? Jay Cox looks at me and says, we had lunch about 2 hours ago. And he walks over to Combs. He says, I think we got a problem here. Jackson doesn't even know what's going on. And it's just like he's out of it, right? That day, Jay Cox got hit by a cable, got dead man the cable broke. Kurt Bond was rigging, and Charles, we did the jump. Charles went off and broke his ankle. It was just a nightmare. Just a nightmare day. It's funny, back in those days, I finished the day, like there was the thing, and then then we'll go and see what happened, right? But today, man, that would be, you'd shut everything down. It's different. It is different. Yeah. It's different. I don't know if it's better, but it's different. For me, another proud moment of my career is starting the Action Room. And, you know, I ran that we had that going for like 10 years. And it was a great place for young guys to come and train and get to know and jam. And it was a good center. It was good.
What is your favorite thing about the BC stunt community?
Oh, how tight it is. Yeah, it's a world-renowned thing. You know, you travel around the world and work with other places, and that's what you find, that like this community teaches each other, and you know, we'll train together and watch each other's back, and it's a quite tight community like that. You know, everybody's quite respectful and, you know, helpful and trying to support everybody and each other, and yeah, it's good that way. It really is good that way. We're blessed.
Can you tell us about any injuries you've experienced during your career?
I've the usual knees, twisted knees, and some elbows, and my most severe one was getting. I got caught by a punch with by an actor and lost my vision in my right eye. I'm legally blind in it. Yeah, and it's kind of like looking through when I close my left eye, it's kind of like looking through a mesh fence, or a Picasso painting. Everything's scattered. But through time, my left eye is taken over from my right eye. So it's kind of, I don't notice it that much anymore, No.
Well, it's like split the difference.
Yeah. Or the information that I lose from my right eye, my left eye is taken over. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that was a heavy one.
How has technology changed the stunt industry over the course of your career?
Wow, a lot. Like, how has it? It's eliminating stunt guys. It's eliminating the need to have stunt people because CGI has been a thing. The computer graphics has been a thing. Safety and all that stuff has become a deal. Like, productions don't want to do real stunts anymore. They don't want to light guys on fire and have them do high falls. And it's a real predicament we're coming under. And now that, as the CGI world is becoming so real. Like, and I was just saying this the other day is that to the kids is that, like when we look at it, we see an explosion and we go, well, that's a CG explosion. You can see that it's not real. But there's a generation now, the generations that are coming that they know it because that's what they're doing in their computers and they're seeing it in their games and they're believing those explosions. Yeah. And so now to see all the stuff and the cartoon men and women and all that sort of stuff, that's becoming what they know. So it is shifting. It's shifting a lot, actually, and I find myself in meetings and stuff having to talk production into the simplest things that they make out to be the most dangerous. It's like, what are you talking about? It's just, we just dropped the guy out of the chair. What do you mean you can't drop this guy out of the chair? He might hit his head. What, dude? Yeah, no, it's gotten pretty bad. Like, actually, it's. I don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years.
How important do you think it is for the stunt industry to have diversity and representation, and why?
Oh, it's really important. It's really important because that's the way the world is. It's everybody, It's everything. We need it. Yeah, for me, starting out, it was tough though. I wouldn't say tough. It was just a learning thing because at the time when I started, there wasn't very many black stunt people, especially in Canada. Wasn't. I mean, Gene Heck and Bill Lawrence were the first two Canadian guys that I met. And Gene Heck was like a helicopter pilot. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of us out there. I know, it's kind of crazy, one of those deals. But you definitely need diversity, and as we know today, right? Yeah. It's all going on, and but you still have to be good at your craft. You shouldn't rely on, oh, I'm a black guy, or I'm a woman, or one of the things when I got into this business and started into it and started really going at it, and I did this Anthony Robbins 30-day course, and in it, there was a section of where you had to do this success journal. And one of the first things I put on that list was, be recognized as one of the best stuntmen in the country, not the best black stuntman. I didn't, I'm a brother, but I don't want to be known just for that. I want to be good, right?
You'd be racing against yourself.
Yeah, right. So that was kind of that, and I think that's what we all should be thinking, that regardless if you're green, blue, red, woman, whatever, that should that's it works for you. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works against you, but your main objective should be really good. Be good at what you do, and everything else follows.
What are some of the most important skills or qualities that a stunt performer needs to be successful?
Okay, I'm going to say the art of timing. That's a big one. I mean, being able to adapt and change. Don't be rigid. You know, you got to be able to adapt. You know, self-preservation. There's a bit of self-preservation. You know, like if somebody says you have to fall on the ground, and you have to fall on the ground. Don't fall on the ground and not put your hands out and just fall in the ground and smash your face out. There's a whole thing of self-preservation that you should have. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like 'cause it should be an innate, and it doesn't have to be an obvious save, but you should be able to. You should be saving yourself a little bit. You know, somebody says fall down the stairs. Well, guys can fall down the stairs once because they just do it and clang their head, bust themselves up. Or there's this self-preservation bit of it where you're doing it, but there's some, you know, you're preserving yourselves. You can get up and do it again and do it again and do it again. Yeah. We did a great thing last night with Colby Chartrand, and Dexter there pulled him across a ground, yanked him across the thing, no pads, no nothing, and self-preservation. He did what he had to do, got up. Yeah, okay, let's go again. Let's go again. You know, like there's something about that. There's some people that would do that once and it'd be over. Yeah. It'd be over. They ain't getting up, you know. Self-preservation's a big thing. Timing's a big thing. You having a personality that is such that you can sit in a room and talk to people and people don't find you arrogant or, you know, conceited, or, you know, be interested in what other people are about. You know, the world isn't only about revolve around you're you know what I mean? Yeah, and wanting to learn, trying to be always learning, try to be always trying to stretch yourself and push yourself out there. You know, bringing on other skill sets and yeah, don't stay stagnant. Just be out there and be willing to learn and grow. You know.
What advice would you give to someone who is interested in pursuing a career as a stunt performer?
Well, I would say come with something that you can offer. Don't assume that you're just going to come and they're going to give. Like, you should come with something in your tool bag, whatever it might be. Come with something. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, you know, if you have on your resume you're some sort of a gymnast or you know, I race cars or whatever it is, you come with something and push it and don't give up. Don't give up. Like, it's a long process, as you know. It doesn't just happen overnight. Stick to it, you know, believe in yourself, and you know, be humble. Be humble, be ready to learn and listen and ask questions and find out. Talk to, you know, some of the older guys and get in with them, because, you know, those guys that and ladies all have a lot of knowledge and little nuggets they can give you that will help you along the way, you know. So don't be afraid to talk to them. It's funny, you know, we'll sit in the room sometimes and young guys will come in and they'll, you know, instead of coming in and talking to us and breaking the thing, they'll sit over there and jack around with their friends, and there's all this knowledge sitting there. You should just take the chance and go and talk to them. You know, no one's gonna hurt you. Yeah. Right. You know, that's what I would say. Just be persistent. Come with something in your bag, something that you're good at, and yeah, be humble.